Hello, I'm Patrick McCaffrey with Larte NYC, and I'm here with another video for you for a team of... This is just sucking it up. Hello, I'm Patrick McCaffrey with Larte NYC, here with another video for you. This video is all going to be about footwork. Footwork you can do at home, or you can bring into your clubs yourself. In this video, I'm going to give you some of my interpretation of footwork that we should be doing with the longsword. I'm also going to be going into what I call a alla traversa step, which is just a fancy Italian way of saying a diagonal step, as well as how that compares to a box step, and I'm going to get into the forward and reverse stances. But first, we're going to do some drills that you can do at home. Now, drilling is incredibly important. Everybody suggests drilling, but when you take drills home with you, when you start assigning homework, that's where things can get a little odd. I say that because when you're in class, you have a feedback system. You have somebody telling you if you're doing things right or wrong. Now, obviously, we need to practice in order to get better. The only way we get better sword fighters is to practice what we know, and to practice good things. The downside to practicing at home is you don't have a lot of that same feedback system you do in class. So you don't have somebody chirping over your shoulder going, do it this way. And unless you're video recording yourself and then watching yourself immediately after every exercise, you're not really getting that feedback on your own actions. This can mean that you can practice things wrong and really cement in bad habits. So, for me, whenever I'm doing any sort of drilling at home or any solo drilling in general, I want to have a feedback system that I can get immediate feedback as soon as I'm doing something. So, for today, a lot of that feedback system is going to be supplied by painter's tape. Now, I love painter's tape because you can put it anywhere. It doesn't really stick permanently to anything, and you can use it on hardwood floor, you can use it on vinyl flooring, you can use it on carpeting, you can even use it outside. Now, it's not a forever kind of tape, which is kind of the point. You want to be able to move it around. You can also put it on your swords. We'll get into some of the things that I like to do with having tape on the swords, but I'll do that in another video. All that to say, it's like $3 at the hardware store. Get yourself a couple of rolls of painter's tape. But if you don't want to, or if you can't get out to the hardware store, that's fine. I'll give you some other things that you can do. All right, let's get started. I'm going to salute in. So our first drill, and I'm actually going to, I'm going to angle the camera down. So you're probably not going to see my face for a lot of this. That's fine. All right, if you can see my face, cool. If you can't, that's all right. So our first drill is going to be just finding our distance, finding our range. So I'd like you to come to the end of a cut. And I'm going to use one of the many patches that I have floating around. I'm going to drop it right underneath my front toe. I'm going to step back, practice that cut a couple times, make sure my foot is landing about there. All right. Now, if you don't have painter's tape, you can just leave a patch right there. I do have painter's tape, so I'm going to use it. Mostly because I know my foot is going to slide over this patch and is going to move it. Painter's tape doesn't move that much. It's always that first piece that just sticks. tanner's tape right there. Get the patch out of the way. So that's my end point of the cut. My end footwork for that cut. And I'm just going to put a piece of tape under where my front foot is when I step into that cut. Now obviously this is for when you step with your cut. If you don't do a passing step, if you do this lunging step, you can still do the same thing. You just need to measure to that front foot. So I might do that and have a second piece of tape right there. In fact, I'll do that right now. And what we're really doing right now is we're setting up guidelines. We're setting up points of reference for ourselves. So we're starting to get that feedback system built in. Now this is a great way to go, okay, this is about how far I step when I make that regular cut. Well, what does that mean? What can I do with this? Well, I can start to find out what my range is and find out if I'm actually consistent with that cut. And I can start to use it for an approach. So, I'm going to take that distance, I'm going to step back, I'm going to step back one more time. Make another mark on the ground. And this is our out of distance, out of range. Because ideally, it's 2 steps to get that same cut. But do I want to take 2 steps? No, I'm going to hang out in whatever this guard happens to be. And I'm going to start doing an encroaching kind of maneuver. Until I get to that point right there, cut in. Now, you've seen this in tournaments, you've seen this in sword fighting, you've seen this in sparring, you even see this in the manuals. This rocking forward and back motion. This is in the manuals. Cutting from the sweeps, it's there. If you look at the text for boar's tooth definitely has it. It says to cut up and cut down with a returning step. Never says to step all the way back. It's a way you can encroach. And because I had these marks on the floor, I'm not just stepping all the way back to where I was. I'm stepping partially back. I have a way to see, am I doing the right thing? So, this is a nice, easy footwork drill. You can do this with any guard that you want to, whether it's Iron Gate, whether it's Fenestra, go nuts, go mad. All right, so that is our first drill, really a set of drills, and a set of principles that you can start to use in order to get some feedback in your footwork drills. All right, so I have a whole bunch of shoes and jackets, another sword, and obviously the tape. And this is where we're going to start getting into the L'Arte, or at least the Patrick, or at least the Patrick interpretation of what the footwork should be. Now, I'm going to square up using a regular, nice, easy stance. And I'm going to use a couple pieces of tape here. Now, I'm just going to reuse some of the tape that I have. I'm probably going to add more tape later, but again, the great thing about painter's tape is you can reuse it, and reuse it, and reuse it. Alright. Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to extend these, but you'll get the idea for now. So, made a nice little cross on the floor here. And the entire point of it is to separate my body into right side, left side, and forward foot, back foot. Pretty standard idea. Left foot's on the left side of the body, right foot's on the right side of the body. You got 1 foot forward, 1 foot back. Do I care which one is forward and which one's back? Right now, no. But I'm going to start left foot forward, right foot back as sort of our standard movement. Now, got my sword, and if I take what I call a box step, which means that my right foot goes from the back foot to the forward foot, stays on the right side of the body, and I make a cut towards my opponent's left collarbone. Left collarbone. Now I'm going to put my jacket right underneath me so we can approximate where my shoulders are. I hit the collarbone. My pommel is roughly in the center of the jacket. What happens if the other person does the same thing? Let's see, put the pommel roughly in the center of the jacket. Put the blade over the left collarbone. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a double. Something tells me this is not what we want to see happen. This is not a good situation to be in. Now, yes, I can bring my hands off to the side, and he can bring his hands off to the side. And we'll get a crossing, maybe. Or we could completely whiff. But we're in a less strong position and a less natural position. We've had to move our hands out of the way, and it just doesn't bring the blades into a safe place. So, remember that idea for just a moment. And I'm going to introduce you to what we call the ala traversa, or the diagonal step. Now, I always do a preparatory step of a slight lean or a small step with the front foot. What that does is it really starts to load the power into that back foot and makes it want to take a step. And then I'm going to step ala traversa. I'm going to actually go ahead and use this extra piece of tape here to extend that center line, pointing from the center of my body to the center of his body. And step across that center line and cut. Still aiming for that shoulder. But, and we're going to turn the jacket a little bit. Pommel still about the center of the body. But now, having done that step, if he cuts towards my left shoulder, again, the swords have to cross. Now this is a little harder to depict with this. I can square this up a little bit more and the swords start to cross automatically. And again, I'm just going from the center of where my head is, which corresponds to the center line of my body, to his left shoulder. And he's cutting from the center of his body to my left shoulder. A little bit more. But it's starting to create this action that makes the swords have to cross. Told you I had the reason for the shoes. So, flip-flops are in the original spot. Take a small step and a step through the center line. That is roughly the ala traversa step. And my source for this particular step can be found in the colpi di villano, or the peasant strike, where it specifically says to passa alla traversa, or pass across the center. Now, is it always going to be this step? No, because there's actually a point where Fiore says to step where the sword isn't. And that brings us to the second interpretation of ala traversa, and I'm just saying it's just a diagonal step. Joys of living in New York, sirens outside. Which brings us to the second interpretation of the ala traversa step, which is why I just say it's just a diagonal step. For this one, I'm going to do a preparatory step across the center line. I then step along the line of my body and cut to where the sword isn't. So if he were to attack where I was, he'd be there. And if he tries to cut into me, well, he literally needs to turn to cut into me, which means he's going to encounter my blade. So, original positioning, step, and step through. And then at the end there, you can do a little bit of a stable turn. So from the feet out there, I got the third pair of shoes. You can go from there to there. So you're facing what you're striking. So flip-flops are step 1, pink shoelaces are step 2, black shoes are step 3. That little turn at the end. All right, so that's the theory behind the ala traversa step. So what can we do with that? Well, we have our crosswise, and I'm going to extend that cross just a little bit so I'm a little more specific about what's a front foot, what's a back foot. do that nice cut. And again, if I was really practicing this, I'd have a pel that I'd be hitting here. And just a little hash mark for my target. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just a very rough guideline of where I want to step with my drilling. So I'm here, small step out, cut. I'm here, small step across, cut. And we can combine that with our previous drill. And I started a little farther back for this drill, so oh well. But I can use that transitioning movement. And I have that guide for where I want to end up. But you have this feedback into your footwork drill now. All right, I've been rambling for quite a while now, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to create a second video talking about the reverse stances. I'm going to make the second video mostly because I'm going to have a lot that I'll want to argue about, and you'll have a lot that you'll want to argue about with me as well. I also want to include some sources from the text, so I'm just going to call it for here. Until next time, I hope you're granted prudence, celerity, audacity, and fortitude in all that you do. Thanks for watching.